Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to talk to you about the DeathWatch army I'm taking up against DJ today. I've been playing DeathWatch quite a bit lately, but it's because I've been tweaking and trying this Devastating Wounds or DevWatch list that I've been working on. So I'm doing another variation on today. I have a couple new elements in here that we haven't seen before, and we'll kind of talk through those. I do want to thank one of our viewers, Rick Roberts, made a comment on my last army video suggesting that I take the Outrider bomb. So we'll go through exactly what that means and how it generates devastating wounds for my dev wounds list. Today's list has 116 shots with all the weapons that have the dev wounds ability linked to them. We have some new things this week, and then we have some things that re-roll. Some twin-linked dev wound weapons. So I had to sacrifice a few of my scoring or play pieces. Like I don't have any. I don't have the lieutenant with combi weapon who can sneak around and do things. I do have one ATV. One single ATV that might be able to shoot out there and score. So it's really going to be about killing. Obviously, the Terminator squads can deep strike and take up board space and get on primaries, but I don't have any of those little itty bitty throwaway pieces. It's all about killing. It's all about doing the damage. So we'll see if I do enough damage today to actually make the difference and win the game. So here we go. We're going to go through the list, and then we'll talk about how everything synergizes. Also, at the end, after I've talked about my list, I am going to talk a little bit about the tournament I played in this past weekend. I did a doubles tournament in practice for the big one that's coming up this next weekend. And we won. It's me and Gil, who was on a couple weeks ago in our 2x2 battle report, where we had 2 players versus 2 players. Gil had the Thousand Sons. Gil and I paired up. I brought my Death Guard. He brought his Thousand Sons, and we played in a 14-team event, just a one-day RTT. But we did end up winning, taking first place, so that was good. I'll tell you a little bit about that after I go through my actual list. So here's the list, and then we'll talk about how it works. All right, so this is a DeathWatch Black Spear. What is it? Black Spear Black Spear Spearhead, Black Spear Vanguard. I don't know. It's a DeathWatch. So it's a DeathWatch list. We only have 2 characters today. Now, first of all, a reminder of what DeathWatch does. The DeathWatch mission tactics are what we have instead of Space Marine doctrines. And once per game in my command phase, I can choose to activate one that gives my entire army lethal hits in shooting and fighting. Once per game, I can activate one that gives my entire army sustained hits, shooting and fighting. And once per game, I can activate one that gives my entire army precision, but only on 6s to hit. 6 to hit become precision. This is important because it kind of makes this whole Devastating Wounds DeathWatch list work. So, characters. We have a captain with the Tome of Ectoclades enhancement. Tome of Ectoclades has not been corrected or FAQ'd. The way it is worded is that once per game in my command phase, I choose a second Oath of Moment target. So I choose one Oath of Moment target and then a second target. And per the wording of the enhancement, I reroll all hits and all wounds into both of those targets. So it's Old Oath on 2 targets for 1 turn. 1 glorious turn. So the captain, one of the conditions of that Tome of Ectoclade 2 is the captain needs to be on the table in the command phase for it to work. So I can't attach him to a squad that's going to be in a transport or deep striking in or something like that. So he's got to be on the table. The other character I have today is the Chaplain on Bike. This is going to be part of the Outrider bomb, but the Chaplain on Bike has the enhancement, the Beacon Angelus. So the squad he attaches to will be deep striking, and we'll get to rapid ingress for free. He's got 2 abilities. He gives his squad +1 to wound in combat, and then in addition to that, in the shooting phase, he picks 1 target that has to be within 12 inches of the squad, and when the squad shoots into that unit, they get dev wounds. So that's how we give this Outrider brick devastating wounds in the shooting. And all their bolters are twin linked, so they're going to get to re-roll those wound rolls. So those are the 2 characters. Then we have the Company Hero squad. Of course, we need the Company Heroes because it seems to be the best way to protect a character that you need to keep on the board that doesn't need to attach to a squad, and that's what my captain is doing. So the Company Heroes, they have a company champion in there, so they do get some close combat attacks with Mastercrafted Power Swords, but their main rule is that they are -1 to wound when led by a character. And they are Space Marines that are 4 wounds apiece, so they help that captain stick around for a while. Next, we have, let's get right to it. We've got a 6-man Outrider squad. So the bikes aren't super impressive. They're 12-inch move. There's special rules that when they advance, they auto-advance 6 inches, but they don't have any assault weapons, and they can't advance and charge unless you have a specific detachment rule that allows that. But the Outriders can be joined by an ATV. I have 2 ATVs today. One of the Invader ATVs will be standalone by itself, but one of them will be joining the Outrider squad because you can add an ATV to it. So we're going to have this enormous brick that is 1 chaplain on bike, 6 Outrider bikes, and an ATV, all squished together. Whenever they shoot at something within 12 inches that the chaplain is nominated, they'll all get dev wounds and all their shooting. Each bolter on the bike gets 2 shots, so the whole squad will get 16 shots that are dev wounds, and they're twin linked. So they're going to be getting to reroll those wounds and fish for more dev wounds. And of course, the Gatling cannon on the ATV has dev wounds as well. It's 8 shots, but it does not have a twin link, so it won't be rerolling except for the Tome of Ectoclade's turn. And then with the Beacon Angelics, they're going to deep strike, guys. I'm going to deep strike this massive brick onto the table. I can also rapid ingress for free. We'll see if that comes up. It depends on whether I go first or second or when the timing's right for that. But rapid ingress is pretty great too because they do have a 12-inch move. So I can rapid them in, bring them onto the table, and then move 12 to get into precision. Now, there's some fun tech with this. The Outriders are only strength 4, so the chaplain giving them +1 to wound does give them some more ability to actually get some wounds through. I am playing against GreyKnights today, so all their armor is starting at a 2 up, and with the chainswords, they'll be at AP 1. But if they use their true silver armor, they will shut me down, still be making saves on 2s. So that's kind of a bummer. But the interesting thing is with the Outrider attached, not the Outrider, the Invader ATV attached, I can do some interesting things as far as where I take damage. You know, if someone's putting a whole lot of 1 damage shots into this unit, I can just tank them on the Invader ATV. It's 8 wounds, so it'll take a while for them to actually chew through that. So we'll see how that works. I'm interested to see. I know it can put out some dev wound shots that are twin linked, but it might be more hassle than it's worth. I don't think this particular unit's going to make it into my competitive list, but it'll be fun to try it out today. Moving on, as I said, I have 1 Invader ATV that's standing there all by himself. We do have 2 Eradicator squads. They'll be riding in the Repulsor Executioners. Eradicator squads, as you know, meltas that reroll hits, wounds, and damage into vehicles. I have 2 5-man Terminator squads. These are DeathWatch Terminators. Specifically, DeathWatch Terminators can take 3 heavy weapons in a 5-man squad, so they have 3 assault cannons. Again, a bunch of weapons that have devastating wounds on them. There's special rules when they complete a charge. All enemy units within engagement range have to take a battle shock test. Maybe I'll remember that today. Then, new to the list, we have 2 Gladiator Reapers. So this is another way I'm getting more dev wounds. We've got each Gladiator Reaper has a twin-linked heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. So each one gets 12 shots that have dev wounds, and they are twin-linked, so they get to reroll their wounds all day long. They've got some more small bolter fire and that sort of thing, so they can put some work into infantry. Again, DJ's going to basically have 2-up armor saves this whole day today against this sort of thing, but with the volume of fire, it might get the work done. And then finally, we have, their special rules when they shoot infantry, they are sustained 2. So they need 6s to hit, generate 2 extra hits. Then we've got the 2 Repulsor Executioners. They just have 2 big old guns on them, then a whole bunch of little guns. Again, they've got a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, so we've got more ways to get those devastating wounds out. And their special rules, whenever they target something that is below half strength, they get +1 to hit. All right, that is today's list. As you can see, 116 devastating wound shots. When I pop off the Tome of Ectoclades and Sustained Fire, if all those 116 shots get to shoot, with the rerolls to hit and the rerolls to wound, it should do, on average dice, about 40 devastating wounds, which is great. Again, that assumes that none of that stuff has been killed and everything can get on target, everything can see everything hits, nothing's stealth and neg 1 to hit, blah, blah, blah. But that's just on very average dice. My dice are never perfectly average, but one of the advantages of using a list like this with all this massive number of shots is that we're relying on a very large number of dice, so it's going to be less swingy. It should be less swingy. I hope it's less swingy. I'm counting on it being less swingy. So, yeah, the nice thing is that in this list too, we have some units, the Outriders and the Gladiator Reapers, all are twin linked on their dev wounds. So they'll be re-rolling those all game long, just giving me more opportunities to pop up a few dev wounds. That just means something like the Gladiator Reaper shooting at a Land Raider is not really likely to do a whole lot of damage, but it should get 3 or 4 dev wounds through. So that's the list. I feel pretty good about it, but it'll be a unique challenge today because other than devastating wounds and a few melta-guns and a few, laser destroyers from the repulsor executioners, DJ's mostly going to be making up 2-up saves against all the shooting. Some power fists on the Terminators or AP2, but most of the rest of the shooting is really just going to be AP0 or maybe AP1. So that's the list. Follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how it does today. Fingers crossed I roll average dice on all those shots. But stick with me. We'll see how it does. Then, like I said, I want to talk just a minute or two about the tournament we had this past weekend. Gil, as I said, who was on a couple weeks ago with our 2x2 battle report where we were practicing for the big team tournament we're doing next week. He and I went to Canton to Battleground to Board Games for a great doubles event they did there. Just a one-day RTT, 3 rounds. We were very fortunate to play and to win that one. Took first place on that one. So wanted to talk through just a little bit what we did there. I brought my Death Guard. I did 3 of the War Dog Brigands allied into a Death Guard unit, or get Death Guard army. I considered taking all Chaos Knights for my half of the 1,000-point doubles army list, but I found that the buff or the debuff that the Death Guard give out really assists my partners in the game quite a bit. And after playing 2 players that had 1,000 points of Chaos Knights in their doubles team lists, some of them actually kind of agreed with me and thought, wow, that Death Guard debuff might be better than taking 4 or 5 Brigands in of all Chaos Knight lists. So anyways, my half of the list was a Death Guard Plague Marine brick, 10 Plague Marines with a Biologist Putrefier and the Foul Blight Spawn. I had a Rhino for those guys to go around in. We had a Hellbrute so I could shoot things and put them into contagion range, a couple squads of Nurglings, and then, like I said, the 3 Brigands. And then on top of that, Gil brought the same list that he brought before, except he put Ahriman in there. I think he dropped the Changeling. So it was Magnus and a bunch of little, small Thousand Sons characters. I don't remember all their names. I just know that they put out a bunch of psychic attacks. And the fact that I was able to put things into contagion, reduce their armor, actually made a huge difference in how effective those psychic attacks were, because a lot of them were AP1, AP2. So even when we were shooting into Custodes, that pairing of the debuff from the Death Guard benefiting his shooting attacks with all of his characters really helped us out quite a bit. So won all 3 games. First game was Custodes and Iron Hands, all Dreadnoughts. So we played that. Second match was Chaos Knights, all Baby Knights, and 3 big demons. It was Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, and Lord of Change. And that was a challenge because we lost Magnus turn 1. So we had to learn how to deal without Magnus. The first game, Magnus survived the whole time. The second game, Magnus died turn 1. So we're really on the back foot there, but managed to pull that one off. And the third one was against Chaos Knights and Necron Hypercrypt Legion, which, as you know, I have a little bit of experience playing into. That was still a very close game. Won by maybe 13 points there at the end. So very, very tight game. But we had a great time, and hopefully that's given us some good practice for next week, because we'll be playing DJ, Gil, Zach, and I will all be playing in the 4x2 doubles event at North Coast Games, and will be. So we'll tell you more about that, how that goes next week. But I just want to kind of give you a little breakdown of the opponents we saw and the synergies that work well with our doubles list. All right, guys, follow me over to the battle report, and we'll go from there.